ladies and gentlemen of the internet. I am your host, Escalante TV. Now, in this video, I want to revisit a cartoon recently released by Disney on the Disney Channel, and that's Primos. Now, last year I talked about this cartoon, giving my rant that this cartoon was very much like one of those Latinx cartoons where it was just trying to pander to Hispanics, Latinos, and everybody kind of felt the same way. Everyone expressed their discrepancies towards this cartoon being racist in a way, misrepresenting Hispanic and Latino culture. People felt like there were stereotypes and like just overused tropes just from the marketing itself, just from like the intro being the actual like opening sequence, the intro being released as part of the initial marketing, and the comments made by the VA, and all of that just accumulated to hate towards this cartoon. And I felt that resentment too for quite some time until now I'm starting to notice a little bit of what this cartoon is all about, kind of just seeing the bigger picture, who this cartoon is made for in the grand scheme of things. Now, when it comes to the primary like marketing for this cartoon, I'd say it's very poor. Because there's a reason why people are still mad at this cartoon. Like, the marketing is just very poor. It's communicating things very badly. Like, rhetorically, like this cartoon, what it's trying to convey, at least like the message it's trying to convey, feels a little hostile, like towards like the broader diaspora of Hispanic and Latinos, the people who actually live in the southern hemisphere, like below Mexico and Central America and South America. I feel like that audience has been virtually excluded from this cartoon because this cartoon was never meant for that audience, is from what I'm seeing. It's more for like a Chicano audience, for like the Mexican Americans that grew up like in America, like their ancestry dates to Mexico or Latin America, and they're considered I guess a separate diaspora from the large group of Hispanics and Latinos. So what is the Chicanos? Like, I know what some people out there are actually oblivious to Chicano, which is something I didn't know until like I took Spanish classes to know what a Chicano is. So where does the word Chicano actually originate from? So I guess part of it originates from the word Mexica, which was the original name for like the Aztec people, Mexicanos, the Mexica people. And I guess that word kind of meshed together with the word Americano, Chicano, and then that got anglicized to Chicano. Pretty much people that were born in the U.S. and were raised in the U.S. by Latino parents. To some degree, like, these kids are considered like no sabo kids, or yo sabo, people who butcher the Spanish language because they weren't taught the language properly as kids or growing up. They found it difficult to balance two languages at the same time, so Spanish is not the strongest language they speak. Going back to the cartoon Primos, which is watching a few scenes from the now released show, I think I'm starting to put together who this show is trying to communicate to, at least the primary audience.
I'm gonna practice French for the cafe's opening today. Besides, you all speak so much Spanish every day, I'm picking it up naturally. See? Yo sabo el todo el español. My ears! She's a no sabo kid!
And a lot of kind of Latino, like actual Latino and Hispanics outside of the U.S. See it as just like a gringo trying to misrepresent their culture. Like, some people have even like joked around with what if they made a show called Oye Gringos or whatever. I'd say like this show is already meant for like gringo Latinos, is what I'm trying to say. I'd say I can finally see the message of what it's trying to portray. But yeah, I think just the show itself, I mean, it's not my cup of tea just in general, but I understand the message it's trying to give out, is the point I'm trying to get across. And I don't think it's trying to be anything more than what it's trying to say. It's not trying to cater to the bigger Latino and Hispanic audience on purpose, because I think it's a biopic of like the creator's experiences. Like a lot of the story is it's like the self-insert of the creator, Natasha Klein, who gives herself off as like a Chicana, living in the U.S. A Chicano culture. It kind of dates back to the 60s, 70s. These people's grandparents, they were listening to La Bamba, Richie Valens, and screaming huelga with Cesar Chavez and stuff like that. So that's what essentially what Chicano is, Pachucos. And another like example of the media where Chicano culture is present is like Selena. I would consider like the Selena movie, like Selena Quintanilla, Mi Familia.
Simón, carnal. Simón, carnal.
Those are other movies that kind of represent the Chicano culture of no sabo kids who never saw the old country, or maybe they do go to the old country and only like once a year and then only come back. That's basically the Chicano. The Chicanos of today, they're the Johnnies that have the broccoli hair and work at Walmart, or they end up going to like liberal arts colleges, joining the Latinx club groups, and end up getting useless liberal arts degrees. And then you have the other like Latinos, like your Ramones and your Conchitas that are from Aguascalientes and they play trompos en la calle. That's the other subgroup of Hispanics that I think kind of felt that the Primos cartoon was kind of hostile towards them, because it just presented itself kind of stereotypically and like with all the imagery of like terremoto heights and misusing the language and stuff like that. So essentially, I think this cartoon could have done a better job of not widening the gap between I would say the Chicano culture and then the broader diaspora of like actual people living in Latin America. Like they were born and raised, they can speak Spanish fluently, and they pretty much live their lives out that way, they culturally as well. So in my case, this reflection on this cartoon kind of also gives me a little bit of personal reflection myself, because I live in the U.S. I was born in the U.S. I'm an American, right? But I also come from Mexican parents who haven't spoken a lick of English in their life until they immigrated to the U.S. They brought to the U.S. their culture. They tried to at least spread it to their kids, like me and my siblings, speaking Spanish to us every day. But the thing is that in my case, I can kind of relate to it a little bit, just in terms of me learning two languages at the same time growing up, trying to improve it, going through like all the academics in high school and college, trying to improve it. But at the same time, I still find it hard to find that balance, because I primarily speak English at work. I speak English for my YouTube channel. I speak English like in general. Like that's the primary language I work with, unless I need to switch over to Spanish to translate. I still have some difficulties with just my repertoire. I don't know how to exactly express some words, or sometimes I tend to use false cognates. So if you guys don't know what a false cognate is that let's say you take a word in English and you try to say it in Spanish, but it just doesn't come out the way you want to. It's like saying the word, for example, like soportar, support. That's a false cognate, because soportar means to like endure or to like bear someone annoying. The right word for like support is like apoyo. But I don't really know how to say idioms in Spanish. I'm not really on the Spanish side of the internet. I only speak Spanish when I need to speak to my mom or my dad, or like anyone who needs to get translated at work, because I work retail, serving Spanish customers. But that's kind of the, I guess, relatable thing about, I guess I kind of fall into the Chicano subculture a little bit, but At least my mom says I'm not really Chicano. She wants to consider me like 100% full-blooded Mexican. Have a desire to visit the old country, like Italians used to say. I guess, I don't know. Mexicans don't really call Mexico the old country because it's like that scene in Selena where Abraham's like, Asians and Europeans, their homeland is an ocean away, but our homeland is right across the border, and we have to be just as American as the Americans and just as Mexicans as the Mexicans. So yeah, it's hard being Mexican American. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. So yeah, be nice to each other. Support each other, and don't try to widen the divide already. There's a superiority and inferiority complex that kind of exists within these subcultures, the Chicano and like the actual like Latin American and Hispanic cultures from the southern hemisphere. So yeah, those are just my thoughts. Closing up with Primos, it's overall, I can see the message it's trying to convey. It's not really hostile, as to say, for like people who kind of fall into the subculture of the Chicano subculture. It's just like it's just the creator talking about her life experiences and trying to translate that into a little cartoon, silly little cartoon. In terms of the art style and just the presentation of this cartoon, I would really, from a surface level, I would give it like a 6 out of 10 kind of B rating type of cartoon. Just something for like your kids to sit down and watch pretty colors. Because I don't think really the message is conveyed as clearly as it should be, because it's already received this much backlash from the greater Hispanic Latino community. That's it. That's my take on the Disney's Loud House clone, Casagrandes wannabe type of show. So yeah, that's my take, and that's my final take for Primos. Not really gonna invest any more time in this cartoon other than to really just revisit it and give my final closing thoughts on the bigger picture of this cartoon. So yeah, if you guys want to stay tuned for more commentaries, gaming, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.